We don't show prep. So, so he had no idea.
I just barely make it in.
I'm sure you can tell, but we don't show.
I mean, let's put the cards down on the table here.
Illustrious. Like your styles.
Miami Hurricanes, yeah. You know the name already. It's Mercy. Ha ha. It's a 6-ring Kane show. Can't forget the name though. Got Jazz, Blue, Vision, DJ break the game code. Ain't no changing them, ain't no breaking them. Real Portland live from the Hard Rock Stadium. Ball 14 for the orange and green. We see the 6-ring champs. It's more than a dream. This is life on the field. Beyond 100 yards, a hurricane that's never still put a damage to your squad. The 6-ring Kane show. The 6-ring Kane show. The 6 Rings Kane show. You know.
What's wrong with us? Seriously.
What's wrong with us? We're Miami Hurricanes fans.
Welcome to the 6 Rings Kane Show, a show dedicated to Miami Hurricane sports, featuring the legendary Larry Bluestein, Jazz Santana, Vish, and Danny Gillette. Let's go Canes.
Hola, mis amigos, mis muchachos, mis hermanos, and mis hermanas. Todo el mundo están aquí en el show. What's up, everybody? How's it going, man?
Good.
I'm delirious today. It's a delirious Monday, as you can see. Speaking in Spanish tongues over here.
Yes, and managing to, and I've heard Jazz really speak Spanish, and you can, the way you were able to switch to gringo accents.
You like that? I just wanted to make sure Blue understood it. Blue, you got it. You got everything I said, right?
I got it.
DJ's Colombian. He gets it. Vish, you're a Cuban by default, but by being here in Miami, right? So, and then at this point, Blue, I think, is probably indoctrinated into the culture as well. So
yeah.
Just for the culture now. I like it.
Culture. Speaking of for the culture, we got a for the culture coming up now. We got a special guest coming on in a few minutes, but before that, let's give a shout out to our sponsor real quick here. It's You Break Will Fix. Give them a little shout out. Have you ever run over potholes so hard your steering wheel shakes? Are you constantly losing air in your tires that they need to keep adding air to them? Chances are there's an issue with your wheels, and You Break Will Fix is your solution. You Break Will Fix is Miami's premier wheel repair and restoration company. With over 20 years of experience and located in North Miami, You Break Will Fix offers quick repairs for damaged wheels, and in most cases can offer you free loaner wheels to help you keep you on the road while they repair your damaged wheels. So if your wheels are looking weathered and it's time to freshen up your car, don't replace, refinish those wheels. Their in-house wheel refinishing solutions, such as powder coating, machining, and polishing, will give your car the like new look it deserves. So contact Mark and his staff over at 305-748-0112 or on any social media outlet. It's You Break Will Fix. That's the letter U. What's at the letter U, Break Wheel Fix. Mention 5 reasons and get 5.5% off your next repair. You Break Will Fix powder coating and wheel repair. 305-748-0112, located in North Miami. Again, it's 305-748-0112. You Break Wheel Fix. You think, by the way, I want to paint my wheels. Do they do that as well? Yeah, right. Powder coating wheels. Paint them in black.
Do not listen when you're reading. They do the powder coating. It helps, man.
No, man. Sometimes I just read. I'm like Ron Burgundy. I'm Ron Burgundy. You know what I mean? You get it?
No, it helps powder coating, man. Don't you of all people mention 5 reasons, get your 5.5% off.
Whatever.
I feel like if there's any wheel expert, it should be me. So, I mean, my wheels are weathered. Maybe
Should he do your wheels?
Or should he replace DJ?
If we can do your wheels, that'd be pretty kick-ass. I'm not going to lie.
My wheels are way too weathered. Some may say they've been weathered for quite some time, but that's a whole other story.
When we say that DJ's got some wheels, we mean it. We mean it.
We gotta get you down here. We'll take you by. We'll let them refinish them.
Interpret that any way you want to.
Speaking of wheels, this guy apparently had some wheels back in the day as a quarterback. At least that's what they say. Talk around town is that the guy had some major wheels. But we don't know. We'll let him answer that question for us. We got our special guest coming on the show. It is none other than, drum roll please. There he is, the guy with all the wheels. Mr. Flo.
What's up, guys? I was hoping you were gonna do that sponsor thing in Spanish.
Oh man, I should have.
I was like, this is gonna be kind of funny, but you went back as my man said in the gringo.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yes.
I mean, his Spanish was in the gringo too, which is he doesn't actually speak Spanish like that. That's why it was funny. That's what I said. I've heard him actually speak Spanish out in the wild.
No, I got it.
He grew up in my neighborhood. He doesn't like go to his neighborhood. So.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Oh man. Anyways, Flo, thanks for joining us on the show, man. I know a lot of things going on right now. A lot of things in college football, period, not just at the University of Miami. Obviously, a couple of the transfer portal has gotten off to a pretty interesting start here for the Hurricanes. I know I've already gotten a couple of text messages from people that are freaking out and some people that are just like whatever about it. So we've got a lot to go over in the transfer portal information. We'll kind of bounce some ideas off of everybody here. But first, I know we spoke a little bit offline about this, and this question will go to you first. The spring game that just happened this past week, and obviously a lot of us know this is more of a showing for the fans. However, there's still some players out there that are trying to put some tape on, that are trying to impress some other schools, right? Let's just be honest. It is what it is. And they're trying to impress their guys now for some spots on the depth chart also. Do you think without naming a specific position, do you think that some of these players that are trying to do that were able to accomplish what they tried to do in the spring to put their name out there in consideration? Obviously, we'll talk about the walk-on in a second at tight end. Listen, DJ, you were probably, I mean, I don't even want to talk. I don't even want to get, because I'll get booted off of YouTube or what.
Don't get me going.
Yeah. So I'm gonna chill out. But the tight end position is obviously the biggest one. At least some of us think so. What were your thoughts on the spring game as a whole? You think that got accomplished?
I'm just happy they still had a spring game with all the stuff that's going on out there, right? Even though it was watered down, vanilla, whatever, however you want to look at it, is definitely for the fans. I think Miami does a good job of getting tape for the guys that are trying to move on, even if it's not at the spring game, maybe some practice tape. I think not all the programs do that good of a job because they're so mad that somebody's going in the portal. So they sometimes don't even help the young man. I think Miami does a good job overall on that. As far as the spring game goes, I mean, no major injuries, right? That's always a good thing. And as far as, guys that maybe you were counting on at the end of the day, we all knew what Malachi is. The kid is different. I'm glad that other people got a chance to see him a little bit out there. I'm happy for Luke. Luke finally made some good throws. Overall, he had a little slow start, but he started getting it going. But yeah, I mean, I know you're going to talk about the tight end that everybody wants to talk about right now. I'm just happy that everything kind of went the way Miami, I think, wanted it to go. Because, the real scrimmage really happened the Saturday before when they were taking each other's heads off. But I think the spring game is good for the fans. I think it's good for the players that are trying to maybe go somewhere else. And it's also exciting for the young guys, to get out there in front of people, and get cheered on a little bit wearing the orange and green and maybe really just kind of show why they got recruited. But yeah, I mean, I'd give it a thumbs up as far as like everything I heard. I was not there. I was there the Saturday before, but I kind of, it went the way I thought it would go.
Blue, you and I were on the field, on the actual field itself. Vish, you were on the sidelines up at the top. So we all got different angles of what was going on, right? Obviously, I mean, to be honest with you, I was more focused on talking trash to EJ and Butch Davis and all these guys that were on the sideline than watching a lot of the game. Blue, same thing goes with you, right? We're talking to Magic Benton and some of these other guys that were there. A lot of former players were there, which is always great to see. But you do catch some of the action from that angle. Blue, nothing really that you can say that really kind of stood out to you aside from the fact, like what Flo said, right? Tony is the real deal. Malachi Tony's the real deal. Luke Nickel looks, every bit the part as a guy for the future potentially, right? Some of the running backs looked pretty good, and Jordan Lyle and whatnot. And then of course, the tight ends, hard to count them out, but on what they did. But just your what you got as far as from being on the field, the vibe, the feeling that you got from the team as a whole. I know you talked to Mario a lot as well. What is the feeling around the team after the spring has kind of settled down? Now we're going into the transfer portal.
Yeah, I think they got accomplished, like Flo said. They Miami's really good at getting a lot of those kids who are most likely going to move on. A lot more tape. Emory Williams is going to be the guy. But you know what? I already talked to 3 people today. He's got 2 good landing spots coming up. If he chooses, they're going to have to talk with him. But you got to progress because you got Darian Coleman waiting in the wings. You can't be stuttering every year to get a quarterback. You got to develop your own. Luke Nichols, the guy. He's the dude for the future. Let's hope Carson Beck could, bring him along this year and not, and stay healthy. And Malachi Tony, since I've watched him as a 7th grader, has been like that. And remember, his first game was a nationally televised contest on ESPN, caught 10 balls for 234 yards against Los Alamitos, California. So you can't park him. It's like Elijah Arroyo. You can't park that guy anywhere in the garage. You got to take those are Maseratis. You got to take them out. And
I think you mean Elijah Lofton. I think you're talking about Elijah Lofton.
Who'd I talk?
Arroyo too.
Oh, yeah. Well, either one.
He actually wasn't wrong either way.
Yeah, that's right. Well, anyway, the offensive line is as good as you're going to get. They're deeper now, and you watch them, and the Brock Myers kid really good. They got talent. I mean, and that's going to afford them to break in a lot of these receivers. Now, the receivers are talented. It's just they have no experience, and that's why they probably, if they could get somebody here in the portal, Flo would probably know, that would be a little bit more experienced. But let's face it, when Jeremiah Smith was the number 1 receiver in the state, who is number 2? Josiah Trader. So
now Jeremiah's sitting, he's holding out. So might as well just bring him over too, right? What the hell?
Yeah. Although he chopped it up pretty good with the president today, from what I understand. He singled him out of everybody on the whole Ohio State team.
Ah, but he did.
So I talked to his dad, and his dad's pretty proud. But with Josiah, this is the do or die year for Ray. It really is. I mean, he's 3 years. He's got to step up his game to the point where he's gonna be that difference maker. If he's not, then there's guys are gonna pass him by. I mean, they got too many good kids. Like I said, wide receiver wise, because of your running game, and Gerald Pringle is everything everybody thought. He just needs to block. Miami's offense is predicated on blocking, and that's where Wheatley Humphrey could pass him, because he is a blocker and he'll knock your ass off. That's just the way. I mean, that's their offense. Your running backs, when they're not running, got to block. And especially this year, probably Flo a lot more because of the fact that you have a quarterback that was coming off of, an injury, and you want to protect him to the max. So if your running back has to stay in there and, level a block, even on a blitz, you're going to have to do it. Defensively, the world has changed in the secondary. I know it's a wait and see type of thing, but they have so much talent back there, and you could see. And the guy who probably is the biggest story that nobody's talking about, because I was there the day he got hurt, is Amari Wallace. There would be no way 8 months ago, no way that I would have said This is a kid who had his bones sticking out of his leg on a compound. And I'll tell you what, he has looked unbelievably. And he's a guy that's going to get in the mix because he's a playmaker. And especially with the, with Zaquan and, some of the other guys. But they're set in that secondary. I mean, you look at Lucas, who's a freak. Definitely Poiser. You could see the experience when he plays. It made, he's the dude. Brantley, experience. People go, oh, he's small, and he makes plays.
He's a bulldog.
He knows where the ball's going to be. I mean, obviously, you've got some talent. Linebacker, from a depth standpoint, is concerning because, really your two best at the beginning would be Popo, would be Aguirre and Wes. And Wes has put on 25 pounds. So that's kind of helped him as far as his durability. But after that, it's kind of up in the air because you got Cam Pruitt, who's a playmaker, and he's a guy destined. If a lot of these guys got to understand that just because you've been there for a while doesn't mean crap. These guys start bypassing you in practice. Cristobal and Heatherman, especially. I watched him the other day. I like what I see because he didn't compromise, Flo. You know how usually you get somebody and go, oh, don't worry, you'll get it next time. No, get it this time. And that's why the offensive line has gotten better, because where Alex Mirabal is a great guy, great teacher, he's not a get in your face like Mario is. And I watched practice. I was at that scrimmage that you were at, and they had, when they went into individuals beforehand, he would take these linemen and make them do it again. He wouldn't go, oh, that's all right, you'll get it next time. No, Mario was right there. And you look at guys like Bell, who's probably, come as far as anybody I've ever seen. 2 years ago. He was a gawky, big-ass kid. Yeah. But I'll tell you what, Flo, he bends now. He'll get into it with you. And I really say that this offensive line now is as good as they've had in a long, long time, because you not only have great football players, but you have tremendous technicians like Maui Noah is a technician. Yep. Even Samson can stay healthy and get his act together. He's a man.
He's big.
And Ryan Rodriguez, you got to give him credit. The man is stuck in there from day one. He's earned himself a guard position. Mm-hmm. He's done, and he's that guy, if God forbid something should happen in the center spot, that you could slide over and not have to worry, because he's very skilled. And then the only other thing that, like I said, if the kicking game is shaky. Yeah. We got spoiled, obviously, the last 5-6 years. But, who's going to emerge? They all got long, strong legs, but it's going to be about accuracy. Yep. The kid Carter Davis, who I watched since he was a little kid, he may emerge. Yep. He may emerge because he's got a leg, and he led last year the NCAA, and we needed that kickoff wise. Even Borregales admits that he never really did what he should have done from the kickoff standpoint. He was giving them, people good field position, but we'll see. I think on the overall, Miami's got the talent to compete against anybody. Frontline talent, just got to shore up a couple of things. As I said, Flo, better as far as who they'll bring in from the portal. But they definitely need a little wide receiver help, perhaps a linebacker or two. Because you never know. That linebacker position. Because if you look at that defensive line, and potentially, with Scott and Bain and Messidor, who Messidor's got more playing time than anybody in the ACC as far as games. Yep. So he's got the experience, and he's got that leadership, and the guys, those young kids are going to follow. And Miami's defensive ends, holy Christmas, there may not be a better group, a deeper group in the country. Yep. And you're kind of hiding a couple of those guys, like we talked about last week, Jazz, that haven't even, and Coleman Konecki was hurt. I mean, imagine when you get him and he's a player. So, yeah, I'm optimistic. I'm really optimistic. I've been highly critical, but it's not Beck's fault. It's just that I just thought that there was such a need when you have a new quarterback and a new system that they got to be in there. You got to be active with everybody. And, and your first significant snap's going to be on August 31st against the defending national runner-up.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a little bit concerning, especially because he doesn't know everybody around him. And everyone, and I pointed this out.
Blue. I'm going to cut you off right there.
No, don't.
That name sucks. All right, no, I'm just kidding.
No, I know they do. But my last thing was I was talking to Omar Roll, and we kind of agreed, yeah, Beck did great, but Ladd McConkey, Bowers, come on. You had Rosemay? I mean, you had major talent around you. He has
here's the thing. So last year, Cam Ward didn't do spring ball here. He was fine.
What? Cam Ward was 24 of 33 for 481 yards in the spring game with 5
Yeah,
touchdowns.
he put on a show.
Which one was it?
Come on now, Vish.
Okay, anyway.
You're fired. You're fired.
I'm fired. But look, we got to run the ball. I've been beating this to death. The offensive line, the running backs. If we're asking them to throw 50 times a game, we're screwed up.
Yeah, I agree.
And he was the best available option. It wasn't like there was a Cam Ward or someone like that in the portal. He's someone that's started in one and played in one big games with his arm at times when he's needed to. He's made throws in pressure situations. That's what they needed. If we're trying to win this year, they needed someone with that experience. Because Emery's not it. I think we know that. And then otherwise you're asking Nickel to do it as a true freshman, which is a little big ass. So it was the best available option. He was partially available because he was injured. So, you can't take that out of it. I think it'll be fine as long as we're patient with the running game. Because I do think even if you go by 2 years ago when it was TVD and Emery playing, we forced the pass probably a little bit more than we should have when we were effectively running the ball. So as long as we're patient with the running game, we lean on that offensive line we're all talking about in the deep running back room, it makes Beck's job a lot easier. And that should allow them to, a bigger margin for error. But that's the only position that's kind of up in the air as far as I'm concerned. I think Mario's done a really good job of stacking positions and making sure that we have depth. And the guys hitting the portal are frankly the guys that fell down the depth chart because they got passed. And that's the sign of a healthy program, actually, not the other way around. So as much as we loved Zaquan as a commit and, we thought he was going to be a star here, let's be real, he comes in and puts on Ed Reed's number and you're like, yep, that makes sense. But, he got passed in the depth chart. Other guys fit better, played better, practiced better, and got in front of him. And as everyone said in modern college football, they leave.
I like to be on record and say Zaquan's going to be a star wherever he goes. As long as he can get the off the field stuff taken care of, I think that guy's going to be great. I really do. Like, I don't have the experience that Blue does, but you don't have to be in the game long enough to know when a dude is a dude. I think Zaquan is going to be a dude. He did not get passed up. He's been hurt and he's had off the field issues. That, to be honest with you, Vish. He was in line to have a big role this year. He just couldn't get his, and I don't want to put his business out there. He just had issues going on. But it is not his play. I love you, Vish, but it definitely wasn't his play. And he is, we'll see. We'll come out here in another year or 2 years and we'll make fun of each other. But I'd be shocked if that guy doesn't turn into a really good ball player, like really good, not just a role player. I mean, like a difference maker.
But if you're trying to compete at the level the Canes are, you can't have people that are inconsistent off the field as key players.
I agree.
And right now Miami is in a position. Look.
Yep, you're right. This
team is expecting to be in the playoffs next year. Period. We can talk about, fans' unrealistic expectations. I'm not the team. That's what they're preparing for. That's why you get back. If this is like a 3-year plan, you probably just start nickel. No, it's like next year. So
Yeah, I'm
they
a
won't
Beck
be able
fan.
to trust him is basically where we're at now. But it wasn't necessarily a talent question. It's a trust.
Yeah.
Are they going to pencil him in as the starter? Not right now.
I
And
think
for
you're
him,
better.
like you said,
I
he's
think
got
you're
options.
better than just okay hands with Carson Beck. I think people fail to realize
Dude,
what he
his
was
tape
like.
is
Well,
great.
number one, obviously, when he had talent, right? Obviously, every quarterback, when they have talent around them, is going to, you for the most part, going to be better. But it's not only about that. Like, you're talking about a guy who really didn't have much at all last year. He still threw for.
Look at the number. His bad year would have been epic over here.
He still threw for I guess I think it was 4,000 yards this year.
I think it was 3,500. I think he threw for 3,500. Yeah, which is in the SEC, guys. And remember, Georgia is still Georgia, but they had definitely taken a step back from a talent standpoint on that offense.
Oh yeah, on the offensive line too, big time. And if you notice, his offensive line.
That transfer that they brought in from Florida didn't play almost half the year. I forgot his name, the running back, the real good running back. He was right. The running backs couldn't catch a cold. They lost the best tight end in the world the year before, right? And Mr. Get Wide Open, they're Xavier Restrepo from the year before, who went really good in the NFL this year. They're all gone, and then you cannot not expect. And I'm not defending Carson Beck because I have my issues with him from a chemistry standpoint with the team. But from a playing standpoint, like his tape is good, guys. His tape is really good.
Oh, here's the thing. I mean, when you're talking about pocket protection, you're also talking about now he's going to be playing with potentially the best offensive line in the country, right? Top 2, top 3 offensive line in this country.
Very good, yeah.
If all goes well and they stay healthy and everything goes to plan, you're talking about he is the number one guy that's active right now in college football when it comes to completion percentage with the pocket holding up, like with protection. If he's got protection, nobody's better than him in college football right now. That's something to say. Now he's got like Flo just said, like you said, Vish, in the past, you got to develop the chemistry with the guys that you're throwing the ball to. Which leads me to my next, because I'm going to throw it directly at DJ right now. Because if you don't develop chemistry with one out of the 72 tight ends that you have, DJ, then maybe we'll have a different conversation about Carson Beck later on. But look, DJ, I'm gonna go from the bottom, right? You got Bauman, you got Luke Nichols' brother is here too. Okay, people forget about him. You got Elijah Lofton, you got Brock Schott, you got Luka Gilbert, and then you got the stud, the All-American Ruskovich walk-on. Who just came in and he put on a show for people. Here's why I'm a little tentative as to say that guy is going to be all world, because we saw what's the kid from Independence College a few years back, Johnson. Remember the wide receiver Johnson, number 88?
Oh yeah.
In the spring.
Oh yeah.
He put on an absolute clinic.
I remember. That's right.
Like 78 catches for 1,000 yards in the
They had him listed as a wide receiver though, right?
Right,
yeah, that's right. I remember.
He was on the Independence on that show.
Yep.
The year before.
He did put on a show. He did. Yeah.
And then you know what he was doing? He was making sure he was ordering breakfast for everybody during the games. So like, you know what I mean? Like I'm a little hesitant about it because a lot of people can show out in the spring. I mean, he looked good. He looked the part. I mean, everybody else did too. Alex Bauman had that one fumble when he caught the ball, ran over the middle. I'm hearing that Luka Gilbert, first of all, as they mentioned on your show yesterday, Flo, he could be the starting center on the basketball team. That's how big he is. He's an absolute monster.
He's a pleasant surprise.
He might be the most athletic guy out of all of them, but he's a little soft right now, is from what I get, right? Like he's a little soft in the sense that he'll catch the ball, he'll run great routes, but when he gets hit. Like he gets lit up, and he's a big dude. So he's got to put on that a little bit of that toughness. But aside from that, I mean, the kid looks the part. And you got Brock Schott, who looks like I mean, it's hard to say. He's like a Calvin Klein model playing football right now. That's what the kid looks like. It's like
you're evil, man.
What's going on here?
You're so evil.
DJ, you're a tight ends guy. You like tight ends. That came off the wrong way. Not necessarily. You never know. Anyways, I digress. I'm sorry.
Damn it, Jez. Damn it.
Talk to me, brother. What's going on with the tight ends? How happy are you to see them perform the way they are?
I'm very happy because when you look at the tight end room, there's a lot of talent there. Brock Schott, who's one of my favorites, Luca Gilbert, you have him, and then you have all the other guys as well. And I think it's important to have a tight end in the case of Carson Beck, where his mobility is obviously not the same as Cam Ward's, so he has to get the ball out a little bit quicker at times. I mean, we know the offensive line is going to be really good, but it's always nice to have a safety valve at the tight end position if your wide receivers are covered. And so the fact that the tight ends look the part and are coming along nicely over the course of the spring is a good thing for a guy like Carson Beck, because that way he can just get the ball out quick, feed him the ball, couple of yards, boom, there you go. And he doesn't have to necessarily worry about extending plays or, trying to do anything, crazy like Cam Ward did, running around the field all the time, But I think it's good for a guy like Carson Beck because it allows him to get the ball out quick, and it gives him a safety valve in case, the outside wide receivers are covered.
All right. Two-part question. We're going to go around. I know, Flo, you got a couple minutes left with us here really quick. So I'm going to ask you this two-part question, and then we'll go, and it's going to transition into the transfer portal info. But the first question is about the tight ends. The tight end room is loaded now, right? Flo, number one is, are you excited with the level of play from all the tight ends that we have, going from Lofton all the way down to Nichols' brother, right? I think his name is Joe Nickel. And that walk-on and all the other guys there. A lot of competition in that room. Is a competition for real? Is a competition legit? Do you see anybody from that room not being here once the season starts because of how many players there are there now? Or do you see them saying, Elijah, we can split him out wide. We can put him at running back. We can do halfback. We can do so many things with him that we don't really have to worry about him so much. It's the other guys. Now we can do big sets where we have 2 or 3 tight ends on the field, and we're not losing the athletic ability from an offensive perspective when it comes to play calling. Number one, that's the first question. How do you see that tight end room shaping out? And number two, moving forward, does it affect? Are you going to see maybe a transfer portal be a big player when it comes to the tight ends? You see a lot of guys leaving, maybe 1 or 2 guys leaving. How do you feel that's going to transition for the transfer portal as well?
First of all, the guy in the chat named the General, you should kick him out because all he's gonna do is make fun of all of us the whole chat. Shout out to the General. I see him in the chat. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm going to let him talk a little bit more, and that's it. I'm kicking him out.
It. I was actually talking to him before I got on the show today. Look, I've said it a million times. I think Elijah Lofton is one of the best players, like bar none. He's just a matchup nightmare. Shannon Dawson should be fired if they don't get him the ball like every series at least once. He's too good. I mean, he's just too good of a player. They don't come around like him very often, and he could do so much. I mean, yeah, they list him at tight end since we're talking about the tight end room, but what is he? I mean, he's whatever you need at the end of the day, right? Whatever you need, that's Elijah Lofton, and he's that guy. I'm so grateful that Miami was able to hold on to him when they were recruiting him. There was a couple teams that made a late push. Texas really wanted him at the end. And I think the fans really don't know. The fans haven't been able to see a practice or something, how actually good he really is. I mean, there's not much this guy can't do at a very high level, not just pretty good. I mean, a very high level. I think the guy that picked up from Tulane was a smart move because you're bringing in a ton of snaps, a ton of productivity. He's got good size. He gives me some Mallory vibes, believe it or not. A little bit of some Mallory vibes. And then the rest of the guys, I think Brock Shaw is going to be great. And I don't like to throw the word around great too often, but I think that guy is just athletic as they come. He's a worker, a great attitude. I mean, he could have went at a big program defensive end or tight end. I mean, he was that good on both sides of the ball coming out of high school. Incredible athlete. Luca Gilbert was a surprise to me personally. I had not gotten a chance to see him play live, and I was like, I couldn't believe how well he moved for that size. He was bigger than I thought, from a weight standpoint, but he moved good. I was like, wow, what a pleasant surprise this guy could be. Blue, what did you? I mean, I'm sure you had probably seen him before.
Yeah. He's a typical guy that Iowa takes. When Iowa gets those 2 first-round draft picks every year, DJ, every year Iowa will pick up those type of guys. Well,
Yeah.
Brock
Yep.
Schott was that guy.
Yeah, Brock.
His
is-
granddad was on the show last week. He wasn't
yeah?
that him
He,
talking to us?
he was,
last
he was talking. He was talking in the chat, and,
Yeah.
and
cool.
his father was
Yep.
behind us at the baseball game.
Oh wow,
Oh, that's all.
super cool. Yeah, I think Brock Schott's gonna be great.
Yeah, I agree.
The rest of the tight end room, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I'm not sure how that shakes out. To be honest, we'll see. But as far as the transfer portal goes, as far as guys leaving, Miami's playing defense on some of the guys too. And not a lot of people talk about that when it comes to everyone's like, let's go shopping. Let's go shopping. Well, you got to defend other teams from coming and take your guys too. And that's a part of the portal that I don't think gets enough talk or info on. And Miami's having to play defense on quite a few guys. And that's a tribute to the recruiting that they've done, right? I do think this is the best roster we've had in a while from a complete standpoint. You know, there's some depth. It's not just a couple, like there's size and speed across the board now. I think that we could use a little more speed on offense for sure, but I think we're much, much better equipped to play an SEC team, a Big Ten team. I don't feel weird going into those games anymore. You know, it's from like, hey, let's match up. We match up. We got to play well. We got to coach well, but we're not going to be like, oh my gosh, they're going to wear us down. I don't see that right now with the roster. But as far as them leaving, it's hard to tell because a lot of the exit interviews started, you know, yesterday and today and tomorrow. You don't know how those go sometimes. You know, they're going to go over the tape with like they did yesterday. The coaches had no life. They literally just went over the tape and they're going to just assess. I mean, the first couple guys that they mentioned today in the portal, they're not surprised. If you're around the program, you knew those two guys were in trouble. Maybe not from a playing standpoint, but maybe not being available and other things going on. But I don't necessarily think we'll take a hit in the tight end room from someone that we think might contribute, you know, at some point. I'd be surprised if that hit because I think Miami wants to play defense there. And look, I want to give a shout out to Coach Woodell. A lot of people got upset when he got promoted on the field. And I forgot the other guy's name. Coach Field. I love Coach Field. Got put. Listen, you were going to lose Coach Woody if you didn't put him, if you didn't upgrade him. That guy is the real deal when it comes to out on the trail and recruiting. He is a monster. So shout out to him for putting that room together.
Flo, before we let you go here, man, and again, I appreciate you. One more thing. Will you be surprised will the fans be surprised at some of the names we're going to be hearing that are going to be entering the transfer portal for Miami? And on the opposite side, right? Are we going to be surprised or are we going to be happy with potentially not only the names we'll be hearing, but the positions that those names play that will be potentially coming into play for Miami? Is there anything that maybe we should keep our eye on or that we should be excited about or disappointed and also kind of blindsided by leaving as well?
Yeah, we'll just call it free agency, right? Yeah. I mean, it's probably easier just to say it's free agency at this point. Because, you know, if you're following college football, everybody's trying to get in now before the settlement is finished. So the money's going to be stupid. Like everyone's going to get – all the agents are on the phone probably right now as we're talking, trying to shop their guys and seeing what they can do. So you really don't know. As far as on Miami's end, Coach Mara's done, I think, as good a job as you can to acquire talent and set up his NIL program, I'll say, in a way where he can attack when he needs to attack. And I think we are going to go shopping, to be funny, but to be serious. I would be surprised if they don't bring in a dude at wide receiver. I'd be surprised. You know, not saying anything, but everyone knows there's been a lot of back channeling going on, and the names that you're hearing are like, they're dudes. It's not like, oh, let's bring in a guy that can come in and just has snaps. No. Like, they're guys that are going to come in and you're like, he might be the best guy on that in that position day one. And that's saying a lot because I think JoJo's going to be box office this year. As far as leaving goes, or shocked, how many you said text messages you got today when you heard Zaquan's name going? I think a lot of people that didn't know what was going on in the program were shocked that Zaquan was in the portal. Like, I know my phone blew up. Immediately they were like, what is going? How does Zaquan? Because everyone thought he would be in the 2 deep for sure this year, right?
Sure. I thought he was going to start next to Poyser.
Yeah. You know hey, I got to give I mean, I know they had inside information with Poyser, but what a good get. Yeah. Oh, my gosh. I think that we haven't had a safety like that in a minute because other people are going to say, "Oh, we had Cam." He's more he's more athletic than Cam. He might not be as smart as Cam, but he's more. We haven't had a guy with that kind of skill set in a while. I think at that position, I'd say 4 or 5 years at least. I'm excited for Poyser, not to get sidetracked, but they're going to bring in a safety. They want to bring in a safety, I should say, and there is a lot of back channeling going on. We'll see, because they have to. I hate to say this in college football, but there's negotiating going on, right? At the end of the day. So I think you're going to see a safety. You will definitely see a sideline linebacker. That's pretty out there, though. Everybody knows they're looking for something like that. Some guy that can just kind of do it all at that linebacker position. I definitely think that you may see a running back with a lot of snaps. You guys were talking about Pringle, and Pringle has to block. I mean, we had a guy last year who now plays at FIU that I don't want to just put his name out there, but if you gave him the ball, he was incredible. But if you asked him to pick up the blitz, it was like, good luck, good luck. But I mean,
that's why he's at FIU.
Exactly. I was like, I can't believe they let him go. He was so good. I'm like, he's gonna get his.
He can run, though.
Yeah, he can run the ball. You give him the ball, the dude is really good.
I love the ball in his hands. Yeah, for real.
Oh no, he was absolutely. But I think Pringle's gonna, he's another guy that he's got some different type of speed. I mean, you don't see that kind of stuff back there. I'm a big Hellcat fan. I'm a big Wheatley fan. I think whenever you can rush for over 2,000 yards in South Florida football, like you're good. It's like you're good, at the end of the day. I'm glad
he's a good stat keeper, I think, too.
Yes, no.
I was out of a lot of his games, and
dude. I mean, I'm so happy that he came. That it looks like he came back really healthy from that injury.
Yeah,
and he put on the weight. Like I think people are sleeping on him, but Lyle is Lyle. Lyle's a dude. There's no doubt. Fletch needs to just hold on to the ball a little bit, but he's gonna be just fine. But I would be shocked if we don't bring in a guy that's already. Got a ton of snaps at that position because everyone's like the running back room is loaded. No, they're loaded with talent, but not experience.
Yeah.
Like if Fletcher gets dinged up, Lyle's the only one in there that really has any snaps, and they're not even a lot of snaps.
Remember, 3 years ago we were so
God,
yes. And we had to go with a walk on.
Yes, yeah, and he did a decent job. Too. I remember. Was it Walton? No,
it came from Alabama, Birmingham.
Yeah, dude, I remember.
What was his name? Lish. What was his name? Did you just say?
Luscious.
Lucius.
Not him. But that's not the one I'm thinking of.
This is the dude that came from Alabama, Birmingham, like a week before practice started.
I think it was Lucius Stanley, right?
Was it Lucius? I thought
it was Lucius.
Doesn't sound like it, but that's right.
It wasn't Walton? Didn't Walton come in as a freshman walk-on? I don't know. I could be wrong. I'm probably wrong, actually. I'm terrible at those
Lucius
things.
Stanley was the one that played.
I believe you. I'm usually wrong at those things for sure. And Vish, you're usually right. So I'm not even gonna battle.
I spaced on Cam Ward playing in the game.
No, that was excellent. That was a good. And not only did Blue know, but Blue gave you the stats immediately.
Good to be humble.
Now, Portal, just to finish up.
Quarterback. We're going to get a quarterback in. If you ask me. We need a guy with experience.
Yeah, listen, I think Emory does need to move on, and everybody knows there's stuff going out. There's feelers out there, and he's going to be fine. Listen, he's a good kid. He works hard. He just needs reps on the field.
He's going to maybe a smaller school like a Group of 5 and put out some major numbers. And then
I think it would surprise you if you knew the type of teams that are inquired on him.
Maybe even like a Purdue or something like that. He goes up, like that. He puts up some nice numbers there, man.
Yeah, I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of bringing in a quarterback for sure. Luke is definitely not ready. Judd is.
I think the problem is you're setting yourself up for failure if you're gonna give him just give him the reins right now. I mean, I know he's talented, but I think it's not like Vish said, right? That's going to put us back a couple years, regardless, right? He's not the guy right now.
This might be unpopular to say on this show because I don't know where you guys stand on this.
Coleman, he's the one that might be.
That's what I was going to say. I don't want to be. I think Darian Coleman is incredible. Yeah, if he has a senior year like he did, like if he continues to progress, because if at this time last year, if you asked me about Luke, I was like, oh, he's nice, and then his senior year, I was like, wow. He's taking those steps that and he plays in Georgia football, guys. Like,
right.
I'm a big fan of what kind of level of high school are you playing, and to go to state and he was what else do you need him to do at that point?
He beat Heritage. He beat Heritage, and
the
year before, you got to remember that in Georgia, as you mentioned, last year they beat 4 undefeated teams in this down the stretch to the state championship.
Dude,
3 of
Georgia-
them the year before, including Buford. So, yeah, he's the deal, and he's got the
Yeah.
mentality. And and you know what, Flo? The thing is he's got a great work ethic, and he worked. You know, he worked with Cam Newton. You say what you want, but Cam Newton drives.
No,
you,
no, I agree. I agree.
You know, and then he played and Cam made sure that he was his 7-on-7 quarterback, and he played against some of the best teams. He played against the Express and Raw and all those teams. And yeah, he's he's ready. And like you said, Darian Coleman, people don't realize what the type of person he was. You know, his entire sophomore year, he drove every day from Plant City to downtown Orlando. That's like an hour and 20 minutes.
And he wasn't even guaranteed to start. Remember, they had Travis.
They had the kid that went out,
who was a big time star guy, and he went and took his spot,
Yeah,
which
he
is
did.
incredible. Yeah, I agree with you. Man, I could talk to you forever because, like, I think it's going to be. Luke is definitely he checks all the boxes.
Oh yeah.
I haven't seen the talent that Darren Coleman has come in at the quarterback position at Miami in a very long time. I'm not saying it's
he
gonna
spins that ball really well.
Yeah, and as long as we got to make sure he takes that step though, right? You know,
And,
the senior.
and the funny part in the state championship game last year, he was outplayed by Malachi.
Malachi Tony at quarterback. Yes. No, that's gonna be a good historical thing to remember because
Malachi was at 11 of 12 for like 215 yards.
What was the other small guy that played quarterback that ended up going to Louisville? Tutu Atwell.
Tutu's in his 5th year with the Rams.
Yeah, but you remember he was at quarterback. They ran him like quarterback, right? Yeah, and he was like little. Yeah, that's funny.
Well, that was a Frank Ponce recruit. So
I do. Jazz, I do think there'll be some surprises. I don't know what they are because they're negotiating right now. They're gonna make decisions and go, look, well, because here's the thing: a defensive end, for example, and here's like a little nugget. You guys just gotta look between the lines because I don't want to say it. You have, let's say, allocated, and I'm going to make up a number, $3 million to your defensive end room, right? You got 7 teams attacking 3 of your defensive ends right now from the outside, trying to say, hey, da-da-da-da. You got to pick and choose at the end of the day who you're going to end up matching it and paying to keep him. So you're going to have to cut bait with some of the guys that are really good, at the end of the day. And sometimes the fans don't see it like, oh, I can't believe we didn't do enough to keep him. I'm like, look, you might have a good NIL, but you still have a limit at the end of the day. You can't pay every single defense end $3 million or whatever, just making up a number at the end of the day. Like Hayden Lowe, oh my God, right? But you don't think they're looking at Malik? You don't think they're looking at Elias? Because a lot of people don't even talk about Elias Rudolph. I promise you,
he hasn't played in 2 years. That's the whole thing.
I promise you, teams are calling about him. I promise you. So as Miami, you got to be like, okay, this is what we think our 2 deep is, and maybe this guy. So like, it's not exciting to even have these conversations because I like the old way better, but I think that room might get poached, a little bit, because they got to make a decision. They can't pay all those guys. They just can't, and they got to go get a quarterback.
Pickett and Scroggins.
And listen, Lightfoot, thank God he came on, in my opinion. Yeah, thank God he came on, because there was rumblings a little bit about him. And then all of a sudden he just flipped the switch in the middle of spring and it was like lights out,
NCAA, he was my guy, bro. That guy was a stud.
And shout out to Jason Taylor. Shout out to those guys. I mean, it's tough to put a room together like that. You can say, oh, but they're paying. Yeah, but that room is loaded with talent. I don't know, other than the offensive line, what room has more talent than that defensive end room. I mean, that is
unbelievable.
It's a room of riches. Like we can go 3 deep.
We're about to lose a guy. It's just
it is. I would suspect that you may lose 1 or 2 because someone's just going to give them what they want.
You might get one. You might get one in return.
Yeah.
By the way, the top running back for Colorado just won the portal. He's going to Augustav or whatever.
It's going to be
from FSU. Jalen Early is expected to leave as well.
if
Lot
you
of
like
again,
chaos,
Florida's
you-
going to lose Treyon Webb, but he hasn't
Uh-huh.
really had a lot of experience.
and they're negotiating. Florida's negotiating. I don't want to put it out there, but there's 2 defensive backs that are really good that are trying to stiff arm their NIL right now. And if the NIL, there might be another 2. And I'm sure Harris has something to do with that. But I would keep an eye on Florida's defense a little bit for sure.
Yeah.
To see,
Hey, you could get Jaden Rashada for $1.50 or 2. So
you just gotta leave his dad. We gotta make sure his dad doesn't come though. That's all.
well.
We gotta pick and choose.
He's got
right?
him at Western Kentucky now. Let's see.
Yep,
Let's see how
yep.
far he can go
See how
down.
long that lasts.
Yeah, no, man. It's if you like chaos, just buckle up because the next 2 weeks are gonna be on some really sad stories, some real funny stories, and then I think Miami will land on their feet just because Mario's put a good culture in overall. And there's money here. Let's just say it how it is. We're not one of the poor programs. So when we
but
might
he
lose
even
one.
came out, Flo, in the post-game press conference, and someone asked him about the Tennessee situation. He said it ain't happening here.
Yeah, he wouldn't do that.
I will not let it happen here.
He'd kick the guy out way before that.
There's a hot take for you, a hot take name for all of you. Jaden Ott. That's a guy to keep an eye out
Oh,
for.
from Cal?
See where he lands. He's entering the portal.
He's a nice-looking kid.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he'd come here, but if
No, but he'll go somewhere. From
somewhere he's gonna make some noise.
Yeah, he's not easy to bring down. That's for damn sure.
So, anyways, we kept you longer than expected.
That's okay. I enjoy talking to you guys, man. Appreciate it.
I really appreciate you're always welcome here, man. It's been a while since we had you on, so
Absolutely. Love you guys, man.
it gets crazy. So we appreciate the time. We appreciate the effort. Blue, you had anything?
No, he said it all, and that's awesome. Just
we gotta
keep up your good work, Flo, man.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Good to see you, man.
You're on
we
what
understand
Sunday
what you're
nights with a mix of the guys. Except
I'm on all the time now. This thing has consumed my life.
Max is in love now, so he won't be on the show much anymore now because he's in love. He's got a girlfriend. So,
I love football, man. I just love it. It's the greatest. It's the greatest. So I thank you guys for having me on. Though. I really do appreciate it, man.
All right, buddy.
Y'all be
Take
good.
care.
Stay safe.
Take
Love
care.
y'all.
thank you, brother.
You
We'll
too.
talk. Let's finish off with some transfer.
What the highlight of my weekend was meeting Mel and seeing Vish, and
Yeah,
No,
buddy.
it's not a picture.
Yeah, buddy. I know. But we mentioned you, DJ. We mentioned
I did.
you.
I even mentioned you in the little article thing.
We missed you, man. We missed you.
Yeah, I'll get down there soon.
Vish, Vish, I want to get your take because he mentioned, we're obviously going to see some guys pop in the portal now that maybe some feel are unexpected and some feel that are. How many? I guess this is a question I'll ask you. How many guys do you think overall will we lose in the portal, and how many do you think we get in the portal?
So probably another 5 or 6 at least, including the 2 that went in today.
Maybe like 8 total. You're thinking more or
Yeah,
less?
around that, and probably similar coming in. I will say I disagree with him a little bit. I do expect Emery to go. I don't think we need to go get another. I mean, what are you getting at this stage?
I think you need a backup quarterback. I think
To do what though? Like, who are you getting that's going to come in here and that you're going to trust to do anything? Like, if Carson Beck is not available, we're kind of screwed. I mean, I don't know why people are thinking there's a way. I mean, you obviously see what's out there, but if you're going to get some guy that can like stopgap and start multiple games and win them for you,
I think the thought process is you get a guy that has some experience. He can come into this offense and,
at least be there just in case.
Who any okay?
Not
so
now. I mean, no. That's a foregone conclusion.
Well, this is my question on that, because then that's why I don't know that I would do this. So you have to have a guy that's got experience, that's played, that's coming in a situation where they know we're not going to play you at all. That guy's clearly the starter. You're going to come here and sit on the bench, and if he gets injured, you can get some. Like, what caliber of player you're actually bringing in at that point?
Like a Poffenbarger type guy.
He's gone.
Bro, that's my point. There is absolutely no way that guy
He's
should
gone
take
to
the
start at
line.
North Texas, which is not bad. That's not a bad.
He's what?
He's a starting quarterback in North Texas. I think he's going to be.
Yeah, hey, that's where
Dude, that guy had no business being on this team, and there's no way you could have put him in.
I agree.
None, zero. And I told you that when they got him.
I
At what
agree. Yeah.
point- no, but that's I guess that's my point. You can do it to make the numbers up, but like, at what point are you looking at it and saying, yeah, I'd just rather just play nickel?
But I
He's got
remember
more talent
Jazz.
than anyone we're gonna get out of the portal.
Yeah,
I
I see.
remember
it.
Jazz battling my ass about that when I told you that guy. What are you
Well,
bringing
Baka
in?
Barker?
Yeah,
Yeah.
fuck him. They
Yeah, so I just
how much
I
that
get it. I
mental
get it from a
standpoint?
depth standpoint. At least me personally, I don't know what the coaches will do. Obviously, I just don't see a situation where I would trade Nichols' talent for someone else's, I'm assuming, sort of experience that's that much less talented.
I get it.
As far as I'm concerned, it's
I
like
agree.
all my chips are on Carson Beck.
I
Yeah.
agree.
Like, if he's either bad or injured, we're screwed.
No.
As far as I'm concerned, I'd rather just play nickel at that. But that's
I
my
agree.
perspective.
Or you could just play
Mario
back-
might be looking at the way that Flo was and Jazz you're talking about with hey, someone that's taking more snaps. If there's like an emergency, like someone gets injured in the third quarter, we need someone to finish the game out. I'd rather have someone that not be their first snap. Like I can see that perspective too. It's just not what I would do.
Or you can just start Malachi Tony. What the hell?
Direct snap.
Yeah,
You
he,
can throw a
I mean,
little
he did,
bit.
it, he
You
did
can
it all
definitely
last
run.
year. He did it all last year. Why not? Right now.
And how come we're all erasing Judd Anderson? I don't understand.
Judd Anderson, man. Love the kid, but
Oh. I gotta say, he can move a lot better than I thought.
Yeah,
he's got a big arm,
looks
too.
like a skyscraper moving.
Yeah.
But he's
Yeah, but he can move a little bit.
Can you imagine Judd Anderson throwing the ball to Luka Gilbert? The ball's up here.
oh my god, there ain't a deal.
I'll tell you that. It's all up.
Oh man,
Lot of-
that would be something.
Oh, man, I'm telling Delilah Daniels. They
Well, so on this, I'll just say that like I don't think Emery's in the boat either. Where we're like, oh, if Beck gets injured, we're okay with Emery. We're
I
not
think
either.
Emery needs to
Like,
go and he needs to play.
Yeah, I agree.
even if he wanted to stay here, he's not like a solution to Beck
No.
getting injured. Like we've
Sure.
seen him play. Like it is a struggle to get a.
but he's
first.
better than anybody you're gonna get at this point.
Oh, I know that. And that's my
Not
point.
yet.
But even he's not good enough. Like if Beck is like if he was the starter the whole year, what's our ceiling? 6 wins.
Yeah.
Like that's why I don't know that it's necessarily worth it. But again, the coaches might know better. Shockingly, professionals.
I'm gonna address this question to you, DJ, before we get out of here and we do show and tell with Blue. The offensive line. The offensive line to me, yeah, it is strong, man. I think it is definitely probably the best in the country. I still think you have a question mark, but not a bad question mark. This is a good question mark to me because you've got 3 guys, I think, that could potentially start at that left guard position. And that's a good problem to have, if you ask me. You got Ryan Rodriguez. You got the incumbent in Matthew McCoy that can come in and start there as well. And then you have a guy like maybe like a Samson Okunlola, or you even have like a Tommy Kinsler, right? You've got some options at that left guard position. I think that if you start Matthew McCoy, then you're talking about potentially the best offensive line in the country. Excuse me. And then you have depth.
Yep.
I think that if you go out and you get a guy in the transfer portal, because you might lose a guy. You might lose a guy like Okunlola. I think you need to go out and a guy that can be versatile enough to play both tackle and guard. Because what happens if, God forbid, one of the tackles goes down, right?
Yep.
Who's the guy that you can think about that can play out there and play inside? You need a guy that can play like that, right? Where do you if you're the Hurricanes, do you go after a guy regardless in the transfer portal, a guy that's versatile that can play both?
Yeah, because you can never have too much offensive line depth, and it's already hard enough, honestly, to get an offensive lineman in the portal. And it seems like right now we have arguably one of the best offensive lines in college football, if not the best. But injuries can stack up, and suddenly depth becomes really thin. And it often seems to happen to a lot of these teams very early in the season. Now, obviously, we hope that's not the case, but the more offensive linemen you can get on the roster, the better. So I do think, you should go after a versatile lineman in the portal because at the very least, you have a backup plan in case something goes awry. And again, I'll go back to this. Carson Beck is not the most mobile quarterback. He's more of a pocket passing quarterback. So having as many linemen to protect him as much as possible, given his injury history that he's going into the season with already, it can't hurt. It can't hurt. So I think they definitely should go after somebody in the portal.
The general mentioned something that makes sense. McCoy was in line to start, I think, a tackle before he got injured a couple years ago, and so now he's the guy that's coming in is going to start on the interior of the line, and he is kind of like your backup on the outside. So I think that you definitely need to go get someone that can be versatile, that can do a little bit of both. Because at center, as Blue mentioned, if something happens with Brockermeyer, you've got Ryan Rodriguez that can play both guard and center, but you also have Frank Avila who's put in some time that might be able to get some snaps there as well. Still, he obviously came in to be that guy. I don't know if the freshmen are ready yet, but they're big. I know Demetrius Campbell's huge. I know Max Buchanan is a big dude. I know Jaden Wilkerson is a pretty big kid, but I don't know if they're ready yet. The name that I keep hearing, I know he was in the boot, is Juan Manaya, who looks huge, but if he's healthy, can he contribute? Tommy Kinsler, is he going to be healthy enough, or is he going to enter the transfer portal? You got to see, because there's a lot of names in the mix there at the depth chart. So we'll see what happens. I think it's going to be important to see what happens with that offensive line from a depth perspective now with the transfer portal. I will agree. I think we go after a wide receiver. I think we potentially go get another running back. I think linebacker is very important, and I think safety as well. So spring football is going to be fun. I mean, I'm sorry. The summer for the transfer portal is going to be interesting. We'll see what happens. It's a small window, and I think Miami is going to go and get some big-time players there. We were able to get the number one running back in the portal last year there, and we were able to get one more guy there as well. Why am I drawing a blank? But we were able to get two really big guys in the transfer portal late.
We got Sam Brown too late, I think, right?
Sam Brown turned out not to be great, but
Martinez turned out to be real good.
Turned out to be a really big.
I think at that time, because again, the second portal window is a little bit lighter on top end. They're basically guys that went through spring ball and then something didn't work the way they thought it would. That's why they enter now. But Sam Brown was the top wide receiver in the spring, like in that portal window. So we ended up getting.
By the way, didn't I just mention you're pissing me off at this point, CCH? I just mentioned that Manaya was in the boot.
I thought you were talking about me. I was like, damn, that shit Sam Brown really.
Get your head out of your ass. I literally just mentioned the boot.
Don't worry, CCH. Baseball's up next. You can annoy Jazz for another hour.
What's wrong with you? So there's going to be a lot of questions, but I think that
but like Tom said, we have money.
Yeah.
So we'll be in play.
Go spend it, because it's not going to do anything sitting there. Blue, what do you got for us? Give us some show and tell today, baby.
Technology.
Let's go.
Let's take it back to 1982. Got a little Jim Kelly on the front there. You got Chicolo on the front there.
Nice.
This is the beginning of the beginning right there. Got a couple of good photos that I bookmarked here for you. You got, hey, look at that. You got Jim Kelly getting his autograph. There was one that I wanted to pick out. Where was it? Here somewhere. Oh, come on, man. I was all prepared, and then I wasn't. I did see a lot of the good guys, Edgerrin James and Bernie Kosar and
Butch
Chuck
Davis was out
Foreman. Huh?
Butch Davis was out there, by the way.
I know. I was hanging with Butch and his son.
Yeah.
Got Jay Brophy right there. You got some really good stuff.
Nice.
1928.
That's
What was that?
That's a good one.
That was the Mississippi State game. Miami lost to that 14-10. That was the 82. Miami beat Notre Dame 37-15 that year. Whoa, I have one more picture. Oh, shoot. Here it is. Where'd it go?
What year was this?
82.
82. What was our record, Vish?
It had to be a pretty good record that year.
Yeah, I mean, won the championship.
We won the championship the year after, right?
Because they had Florida, Houston, Virginia Tech, Michigan State, Louisville, Notre Dame, Mississippi State, FSU, Maryland, NC State, and Cincinnati. Pretty damn good schedule.
Wow.
7-4.
7-4, and then we won it all the next year. Wow.
This is Howard after Miami beat Penn State. in 81.
I remember that.
So yeah, this is a good one. This is
82 Miami Hurricanes.
yeah, this is a
That's
good
so
one. Jimmy Kelly right there, and Chicolo, and that's it. So that was this week. So walk down.
I'll tell you this though. Looking into this a little, you could tell it was coming close because out of the losses, 3 of the 4 losses are by a combined 6 points.
There you go. That's when you know your team's on the cusp. Yep.
Yeah, almost there.
That's right, because you had some really good guys coming into that. Vinny Testaverde was a freshman. So I mean, you had some pretty good guys on that team. That Willie Smith.
Blue, can you name the only 2 number 1 overall picks for the Miami Hurricanes in Miami football history?
Well, what's his name was one Cortez, not Cortez, but yeah,
Russell Maryland.
Russell Maryland. And the
Testaverde.
other one, there was another one.
Testaverde.
And Testaverde, that's right.
That's it. Those are the 2.
Wow.
Yep. I think the closest aside from that was Andre Johnson at number 3 in 2003.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that's they've had some dudes.
They have had some dudes.
You know, they've what was it? Their 4th most first round draft picks of anybody.
Yep.
Yeah.
We'll get there again, boys.
Yeah. You could have one this year.
We will have the number 1 over. I think we will.
Maybe 2 if you get lucky. If
DJ's doing the drafting.
Yeah, if DJ was doing the drafting.
Yeah.
Yeah, who'd you have? Who? Was Xavier the second guy?
Probably.
Right.
Uh-huh.
See, Rivers has got to go high, not first round, but he's going to go high because he's a commodity.
Yeah, I think he's versatile. He can go inside also, so I think he's.
But I saw the latest mock draft, and Restrepo wasn't in the first 7 rounds. Free agent.
Really?
That damn running killed him.
That's so
I
think that's a crime. I think you're stupid if you don't draft that kid. That kid's gonna.
I agree.
That kid's gonna be special for someone, and he's gonna shove it up everybody else. And
Yeah, that happens.
Yep. Anyways,
all right. Hey, wait! Before you go, I saw Vish. That experiment with the pimento didn't go very well.
They got you to do it, you son of a gun. They got you to do it.
Oh, it didn't
you
look
wouldn't
good.
do it, you
that
did.
is definitely the worst out of.
There's $9 down the drain right there.
It was supplanted.
Well, they charge for the milkshakes over there.
That thing was $13, man.
Oh my god! I did watch the first 2 innings from my car upstairs.
Yeah, never watch the first inning of a Hurricanes baseball game. Never.
Yeah, and they get out of the first inning.
Then you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Anyways,
All right. Well,
follow us every Monday. Watch us. Follow us on @6RingsCanes on Twitter. Subscribe to the 5 Reasons Canes podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you go. That way you can rewatch and see that I never said nothing about Confirm, you idiot. So go back and watch, and maybe you guys could pay better attention as well. Aside from that, thank you to everybody. We appreciate Flo coming on the show, and we'll keep rocking it. General, appreciate you sticking with us and listening to us talk trash as well. Mo, CC, everybody else, Pimp Down, I saw you earlier. We appreciate everybody in the chat, and we'll see you guys next Monday. Stick around for Canes on Deck coming at you in a couple minutes. See you guys.
The 6 Rig Kane Show. Yeah. The 6 Rig Kane Show. Yeah. The 6 Rings Kane Show. You know.